my own personal little project here. 85 Mercedes 300D. The D stands for dirty. Don't mind the stupid proximity alarm. Turbo diesel. Yep. Not really sure what Mercedes was really bragging about. Not fast. Nothing turbo about it. Heavy car. Mercedes idea. This is one W123 chassis. Their idea of luxury at the time was something you didn't have to fix. Something you could just run and run and run and run. Now this car's odometer stopped working roughly 2014-ish. It's got 193,000 on the clock. This was imported from Ukraine. So I have a European spec engine, which in 85 was very, very little. And this thing needs love. It's dirty. It leaks. It's old. Very old. Inline 5-cylinder, 3 liters. Now they claim this thing puts out like 130 horsepower, but I don't believe it. A brief history on the engine. If you thought that this 5-cylinder engine was originated from the 1953 pontoon sedan, you would be correct, but not entirely correct. This engine, this OM617 turbo diesel, is actually a descendant of the motors used in the Panzer tank. That's right. For many of you who are history buffs, you'll know that Mercedes-Benz, it was actually Daimler-Benz at the time, Audi and Volkswagen made all the military vehicles for World War II in Germany. And when all the bombing was done and the war was over, those companies, they still had to make something, just like GM, Ford, and Dodge. They went on to back to making regular production vehicles. And this funny thing is the 60s, the 50s and 60s model of this car, they actually had to excavate the factories in Berlin to get to the machinery to make these things. So these are quite literally, a lot of these are quite literally made with the same machinery that the Panzer tanks, Tiger tanks, half tracks, same machinery, or similar, refurbished. You can tell this one needs love. Somebody installed these like aftermarket like microphone systems, because that was back when like cell phones were a part of your car. But it's a cool car. It's arguably one of the best cars ever made. So many of them reach 1 million miles that Mercedes doesn't even, they don't even care if they've got a 2 million mile car in a museum and like 10 1 million mile cars from like a Paraguay taxi company. So it's just not uncommon for these things to, in fact, 193,000, even though it's incorrect, it's relatively low miles. So very distinct 5-cylinder purr. That's how you stop the motor. Because I got everything's vacuum powered and I got a bad vacuum switch, so I can turn the key off. It still runs. It's comfortable. You drive a Mercedes 300D because they're nice old classics. They're comfortable. They don't leave you stranded, If they do, 35-year-old car. How can you possibly blame it? Just a nice old beast. And like a typical Mercedes driver, I'm going to go ahead and fail to use my blinker. Yep. Take her around the test track. If you ever get the chance to buy a old Mercedes 300D, do it. You like my heat? Well, the heat works. Yeah, this is real iffy, the heat system here. The Germans and their, you know, and their ideas on what the pictures on the buttons should look like. It's a friggin' it's ultra rare Kenwood right there. That's the most valuable part of the whole car.